And I think a lot of people that grow up in Christian homes don't.
Yeah.
Like they don't realize. And so they, but the church members were like, that I was talking to, they were like, well, just tear it down and have a parking lot. And I was like, no, spend $100,000 just to tear something down.
And then another
$100,000 to pave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was when concrete was not quite as bad.
Right. Is this what's happening a few houses up, though, with the First Christian Church? Did you see that house that they tore down? I think that was them. Do you know? You do know?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, probably. I mean,
I think it's First
it's
Christian.
either them or the college. I mean, the reality is that in Fayette, there's just not a lot of parking.
Yeah, but that house was... There's also not a lot of houses. That house was fine. There's so many other houses we could have torn down.
I know.
But we're beautifying Church Street, you know?
We
adding parking lots, not homes. Anyway.
I guess.
Sorry. I didn't get enough sleep last night.
I
watching reels. They were funny.
I deleted my ability to do that.
Good for you. James Briggs, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Is this your first podcast?
It is.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because podcasting has been like in the church world, pastoral world for a while.
Nobody wants to talk to me.
No?
No.
I want to talk to you.
I mean, it's fine. I'm just saying, like, I'm not.
But everybody knows, like, if we're going to do a podcast with you, like, I blocked off a few hours.
Sure.
Are you good on a few hours?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. We may not even go a few hours. Who knows?
But yeah, no. Good houses in this town are really important. Like
any town, yeah.
We've looked at a few of them over the years, and
for the church or just you in general.
So like my wife and I have looked at them for a few years, like over time. You know, like when her parents passed away, and we were thinking about investment properties and those kind of things, and you know, we went into one in town here that it was like a fun house upstairs because the foundation was so bad.
Oh, I think I know which house you're talking about.
Is it
on Corpview?
No.
By the college?
No.
No? Okay, all right. Different one.
It's on it's over off Morrison.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But you go like upstairs, and like the center of the house is 6 inches below the exterior of the house. So it's like a fun house. Like,
nice. That'd be a sick ball pit.
Yeah.
The entire upper floor is just a ball pit. My kids would love
like
that.
One of my best friends is a maintenance guy. Like he works for an apartment complex in Columbia and stuff like that. And he came up because if we did it, he'd just be my maintenance guy.
Yep.
And he was like, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. When we moved back in 2020, I think, and we were shopping for houses in February of 2020, there was 3 houses on the market, and we bought the only one that like could have livable humans inside of it. It was really sad. But yeah, the first house we went to, it was the opposite. And not everything caved down, but somebody tried to fix that at one point. And the kitchen floor did this.
Yep.
Like even the tile did it. Like it cracked. And they're like, we'll just leave it.
Yeah.
You know,
and
then the same upstairs did the same thing.
The adventures of renovating things in places without strong building codes.
Yeah. Or just somebody checking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my in-laws left us a couple of places at the Lake of the Ozarks when they passed. And I was trying to sort some stuff out with one of the properties, and I got into a conversation with somebody down in Camden County. And basically the 70s at the Lake of the Ozarks was the wild, wild west.
Yeah. You can kind of see the ruins of it when you drive in there.
Yeah. So they have in certain sections of Camden County, they have sold what are called postcard lots.
Sure. Okay.
They're like 100 by 100.
Yeah.
They're tiny.
Right.
No, they're smaller than that. They're like 15 by 15.
Yikes.
They were like, you buy the
size
lot.
Of this room.
Yeah. And you have like access to,
the water.
You can say you're like a Camden County, whatever.
Okay. So it's like buying a star on the moon or
essentially.
something like that. Okay. All right.
And so like these people are now dying, and they own
Not because
this,
of owning. Okay, yeah, they're just old.
So
okay.
these are bought in the 70s,
Yeah.
and early 80s, and they're dying, and their kids and grandkids are having to like process these properties. They're just worthless. You just can't do. You can't do anything with them. And
some salespeople
some
got 'em
salespeople
back in
just
the,
like
that in a
absolute-
timeshare.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, that was the adventure down there recently. Was when they're putting up that new, like amusement park.
I don't even know.
Yeah, they're putting up like roller coaster
We're back on amusement
park.
parks. Okay, all
I
right.
guess so.
Wow.
I've never been on them. I'm not a huge.
You've never been on one?
No, I've been to tons of them.
Oh, okay.
But I've never been on amusement parks. Like I'm off. I don't.
Like you're okay. I'm
out.
Now. Yeah. You've been to.
I'm
them.
like go to the amusement park with my family
Okay,
while they ride the rides. I sit on
Sure.
a bench and read a book.
Yep, read a book. That's good. That's good. It's good pastime. Yeah, like what did you guys do in the olden days before phones when you were like waiting on things? Were you just like reading books? Were you just reading magazines, or did you just sit there and think?
Well, I mean, like you recognize that like doctor's office have magazines on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we used to read them all.
Right. They still have them.
You're not that much younger than me.
How old are you?
43?
Yeah. How old do you think I am?
33?
No, I'm 31. So I'm significantly younger than you. I'm a dozen years younger than you. No, it's not that crazy. But yeah, sometimes I think about like what is happening to our brains and what. Well, because like I am all against phone and the addictions of them. But I also don't think that like many people 30 years ago were like I remember somebody in college coming out with this like breaking study of like phone neck. These kids are having neck problems because they're on their phones all the time. And I'm like, it's the same posture to read a book,
Yeah.
a recipe, a magazine.
That's
I was
not
like,
the problems with phones.
yeah, give me something different. Like it's not like
Yeah.
your
The phone
neck's
problem
bad.
is like it's giving everybody ADHD.
Yeah.
Like the dopamine addiction.
Can't remember anything. I walked into the grocery store last night and completely forgot why I went in there.
Yeah.
And I just moseyed around the berry section, and then I remembered that there's this explosive diarrhea thing going on. Have you seen?
I have.
Okay. So did you get rid of Facebook off your phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bought a new phone. It's called a Wise phone. It has no internet. It has no socials. You basically can't do a lot with it.
Nice.
It's kind of clunky. It doesn't work super well in terms of
phone
like
with a Z?
No.
Okay.
WISE.
Cody, reach out to them for sponsorship.
HONE.
Okay, nice.
From a company called Techless.
Okay.
My phone went kind of ballistic back in the spring where like it just wouldn't connect to the network very well. And I was already kind of at a point where like I'm spending too much time on this. It's not good for the way I think. It's just not good for, I'm not doing the things that I could be doing. I'm disengaged.
Yeah.
A lot of that kind of stuff. And then we
Probably
have
down some rabbit holes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then we have a 14-year-old. And he needed a phone, and I just, you go to a place where there's a bunch of teenagers, and this isn't a shot at them. I don't actually think it's their fault. And they're sitting there, their heads are down, they're scrolling, Reels or TikTok or all those different things, and just did not want that for him. And so basically I got both of us this phone, and it's got some clunkiness to it. It's got some inconvenience to it.
By design, probably.
By design.
Yeah.
Like something broke on my car one day and I had to
have it? Can I see it?
Yeah.
See it.
It
looks like an iPhone.
It is a smartphone.
Looks like a brick. Could fight somebody with that. Oh, it's huge.
But it like
you can take pictures.
Yeah, it takes pictures. It does all the things.
Yeah.
But it's very aesthetically unpleasing.
Just a Samsung.
Yes, it's just a Samsung A16 that they have put like a blocking software on.
Wow.
That you just can't download anything to it.
What a trend to get people off of their iPhone is just be like, have an Android. You won't be addicted to your phone.
To be fair, I've never had an iPhone.
Never?
No.
Why not?
I try not to support evil organizations.
Evil? What did they do that was evil? Also, I'm not defending Apple at all. But we kind of go on these trends where like, people were like, Target lets transgender people use their bathrooms and just like, I'm never going to Target. I'm like, dude, they have been peeing in this bathroom for years, okay? And if you do this, you're gonna basically be naked and hungry, like if
Yeah.
you take it all the way.
I would just say that I have like this instinct in me that says if everybody says it's the best thing in the world,
Yeah.
I'm probably going a
Yeah,
different
you're a
direction.
Gen Xer. That's an Xer thing where
I'm
you're like,
late.
no.
I'm late Gen X, early millennial.
Yeah, I hate
You know,
trends.
so like when everybody's like iPhone, I'm like, nah, or not.
Yeah.
They're also more expensive, and I've always been
Are they?
poor.
They're just so easy to use.
See, I think whatever's easy to use is what you use.
Yep.
Like the more you use, so, what I mean by that is
Okay.
like I pick up an iPhone and I can't get anywhere on it
Okay. All right.
because like
Yeah, I mean, so it just takes some time.
like
Yeah.
I've never used
Right,
one,
right.
So when I do pick up one,
It's like people who drive stick are like, driving stick's easy. And if you've never driven stick, you're like, I don't know how to drive stick. Do
that's right.
you know how to drive stick?
I do.
Nice. I do also.
Yeah,
Last of dying breed, though.
I was looking at a couple of them recently because I'm looking for a new car, and my son has a lawn care business, and he uses my truck all the time for the lawn care business. And he's like, well, then you're gonna have to teach me how to drive it. And I'm right now pulling a trailer with it. Do I really need to learn how to drive this thing right now while I'm hauling around? I was like, nah, you'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, you get used
quickly.
to it. I learned on a tractor first. So I was taught
Okay.
with like a tractor. So I had the H gear. So just 4. So I only had 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. So when I first drove a stick for the first time, I never put it into 5th. I was too scared. I was like, I'm good with 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm too scared to put it into 5th. And then, I
No,
figured
I
it
didn't
out.
own an automatic until, gosh, I was probably 27. I prefer a stick shift.
Which would have been what? 2010?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like people, like I'm in my 30s now, and people who are in like their 50s and 60s were in their 30s in like the early 2000s. It's just, is this a thing that everybody experiences as they get older?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think, somebody made a comment to me. One of Athan's teammates made a comment to me that like, so Athan's my oldest, he's 17, he's going to be a senior at Father Tolton. Very successful wrestler. And he was a 106 pounder as a freshman, a sophomore, and then 113 pounder as a junior. And I was talking to one of his teammates, and our second son, David, is going to be a freshman, will be a 106 pounder. And the kid was like, they just get smaller every year. And I was like, no, dude, like you just get bigger every year.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say 106 is small.
It
right?
is.
Yeah. But that's just like
more
naturally,
skinny.
right? Like you're not like starving them. Like this is just naturally what their bodies do,
Yeah, I mean, you got kids that cut weight, but weight cutting is not what it was when like I was in high school.
Yeah.
We didn't have any data.
Right.
Right. So like when I cut weight in high school, like my senior year, I cut from 138 to 119. And I got a list of general foods and the general calorie counts of those foods. No instructions on how to use that list. Just, hey, here's what a piece of pizza typically has in calories. Super unhelpful because like reality is a piece of pizza from Casey's and a piece of pizza from Domino's actually have different calories because they have different ingredients.
Yeah, but I'm sure you weren't eating the pizza to cut.
No, I just wasn't eating.
Right. Yeah. I remember I watched Jaden cut weight. It was like a Sunday morning. We were in kids' class together, and the dude's just like sweating and eating carrots and like is in a hoodie and it's like 100 degrees out. I'm like, all right, man. This looks miserable. This is not a good
It's
ad.
not fun.
Not a good ad for wrestling.
But like Athan cut from 132 to 113 last year.
In a week, month, year? Okay.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I was like,
that process for him was early September. He went on a diet.
Gotcha.
Pretty stout, pretty strict. Make sure you get your protein.
Yeah.
Pretty organized. Cut just all the fat that he could off his body, and then you just play with water a little bit after that. So like David walks around at like 103. So he's not.
I weighed like 103 in 3rd grade. My gosh. But I was always a big kid. I got teased for being fat.
We're
a
not
lot.
big people.
Right. Are they about your height? I don't think I've seen your kids. Are they a little taller?
You've seen Athan.
It's been a minute.
He does stuff for you.
I haven't seen Cody. Have I seen Athan in this place? No.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen him.
Athan's bigger than me.
I thought he was taller than you.
Yeah.
But you're more than like 106.
I weigh more.
Right. Yeah.
Because
I assume.
I'm chunky.
Yeah. You're not in cut season right now.
Not cut season. Athan's probably, so I'm 5'5". Athan's probably 5'7".
Okay.
How
tall are you, Cody?
Yeah, so he's either right at you or maybe just a bit above. He's super lanky.
I feel very tall in the studio today. A few years back, you were working on getting wrestling to Fayette.
Yeah.
Any more stuff on that, or did you bark and then give up?
I mean, I think our goal was to keep our kids in Fayette.
Yeah.
And we thought it would be good for the community. And so we kind of went full tilt. But when the school district said no, I mean, some of that was resources, some of that was
which like sport would that have to replace?
It wouldn't replace anything.
No? Okay.
So
it'd be an ad.
It would be an ad. Essentially, if you were to look at, like, say this is sort of the work that I did for the school district, was they had, I don't know, whatever it was. I think it was 54 male athletes or 65 male athletes. And that was, you had 45 kids on the football team, and then, that included people that didn't play football that maybe played basketball, or people that didn't play football or basketball that played baseball or whatever. They had 19 kids on the basketball team.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. More than the football team last year.
Yeah. And my argument was, so when Athan was going into high school, he was 5'3" and weighed 108 pounds. He's not playing basketball. Kind of gangly.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, was he good at basketball? Well, who cares how tall and small he is?
But
if
I'm
he can't dribble and shoot.
But
I know what you're saying. He was not destined to play that sport.
And David is my second son.
Yeah.
David right now is 5'1" and weighs 103 pounds.
Dude,
we are not playing football. We are not playing basketball.
I feel like that build is like perfect for horse jockey. Let me look that up. Perfect build for horse jockey. It
probably is. He's probably the perfect size right now to go be a horse jockey.
Perfect horse jockey build. And you're on acres now. You could get horses.
I'm not on that many acres.
No. The perfect jockey has a short stature between 4'10" and 5'6" and a very low body weight, 112 to 118 pounds, including gear.
Yeah, so right now he could
good backup plan for you guys.
But he's not going to be that when he graduates high school. I guarantee it. He tracks right along where I was about his age.
Okay.
And I graduated. I was 5'5" and weighed about 135 pounds. And he lifts hard.
And you were and you graduated 5'5". So did you grow after high school?
No, I'm 5'5" now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said you were 5'8".
No, Athan's closer to that.
Got it.
Athan's taller than me.
Yeah.
David tracks pretty close to me. And so so we just, wrestling as a sport that no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter what your body type is, you go to a wrestling meet and there's two guys in the same weight class and one of them is 5'8" and the other one's 6'2", but they weigh the same. They're going to wrestle differently, all those kind of things. It's an extremely inclusive sport. Because everything is weight dependent. And it's a sport that can do really well, even if you don't have an incredibly large team. So, when Max Creek started wrestling, I think they had 6 kids on the team, and that was boys and girls. So they had a boys team and a girls team, and I think they had 6 total. So you're just looking at, I always felt like a town like Fayette that loved their football could very much benefit from a wrestling program. And I had boys that, I didn't necessarily even push them into it. I was a high school wrestler, wrestled my freshman year of college, but I didn't really push them into it. But when we first moved here, Sheriff Oswald's son and Athan got to know each other, and we were at the Y one night, and Shane was wrestling, and Athan was like, "I want to do that with Shane," and I was like, "Okay." And so we started wrestling, and Athan was not good at it as a kid, but he loved it. And then about the time he hit puberty, he really kind of turned it around and lost a couple of heartbreakers this year to not get a medal at the state tournament. Lost in overtime and then lost in like the last 5 seconds of a match.
Wow.
But he is an incredibly gifted and hardworking wrestler. So when we were trying to get in Fayette,
What does it mean to be gifted at wrestling? Like, are you more flexible than the average bear?
he is incredibly flexible. It's freaky.
Because like when we're talking about genetics,
I would
I don't think I can do it.
I would say
I can barely do that.
If you have some natural flexibility, that's a huge plus. But balance and hips.
Yeah. All three my biggest weaknesses right
Yeah. So like when you look at a brilliant wrestler, they are incredibly balanced. They're hard to move off their spots.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a natural gift to turn their hips in the right direction in the right positions. And then you add in like guys that just work really, really hard and are really, really tough and they're strong and all of those kind of things. But a lot of it is the guys who are just kind of naturally gifted. It's hips and balance and all that kind of stuff.
I can't even get up on a knee board. That's how bad like my balance and core strength is. So do you guys do any lake tubing stuff, anything like that?
We do.
Okay. Do you have a boat?
We do.
Look at you. Wow. What's left to do in life now?
I mean, live a quiet life.
That's right.
Working with your hands.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. So you're a pastor here at First Baptist Church, just so everybody knows, right? I got that right. How long have you been doing that? When did you get here?
Yeah. So in 2 weeks, well, I guess it's 2 weeks. It will mark 14 years. So first week of August is 14 years.
Wow.
So been here. I was telling the church just Sunday, I have done this longer than only one other person at First Baptist Church.
Wow.
So Gene Osborne pastored First Baptist Church from 1959 to 1974.
What's that? 59 to 74?
It was 15 months, 15 years and 7 months.
Okay. So you're coming close on that.
Yeah. So when we'll be at about, I don't know, a year and 7 months, if the Lord tarries, and we'll be that'll be out there in the future.
Yeah.
So.
And have you been, would you call it head pastor? Is that the title or whatever?
Yeah,
but
I mean,
have you been that since you got here? Okay. So how did you get into pastoral ministry?
Yeah. So I was raised in Winsville, Missouri, and wrestled, was in band, all those kind of things in high school.
What'd you play?
Played trombone and tuba.
Trombone and tuba. Okay.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. So, and then I had some friends that invited me to go to church with them. And I got saved my senior year of high school at a Saw You at the Pole rally.
I think it's See You at the Pole.
No, the rally is Saw You at the Pole because it's afterward.
What?
Yeah.
No, you don't change the name because it's past tense.
No. See You at the Pole was the thing that you did at 7:00 in the morning when you went to the school. And then Saw You at the Pole was at 7:00 at night.
Oh, that's a real thing?
It was. I don't know if they're still doing it.
Dude, the 80s youth groups, man.
It was not the 80s.
90s youth groups were...
The early 2000s.
The early...
Actually, no, this was...
I was going to say,
this was the early 2000s. This was 02. Or 01.
Anyway.
I got saved
Saw You at the Pole. Man, these people are ridiculous. Go ahead. Anyway, so Saw You at the Pole.
Saw You at the Pole.
I'm sorry. I hate that. Anyway, I'm sorry.
And
Saw You at the Pole.
I had been going to a non-denominational youth group in Lake St. Louis, and the gospel had been preached over and over and over again. It was the first time that I had ever been introduced to preaching through books of the Bible.
Were you raised like in a Christian
I was raised in a
family and
United
church
Methodist
going?
family.
Okay.
And so like my grandfather, my great-grandfather were United Methodist pastors.
Really?
And was raised at Winsville United Methodist and Sunrise United Methodist, which is in O'Fallon. And so I had kind of Christian background, but I didn't know the Lord. There was just nothing in my life that said that I had fruit or cared about the things of God. And so I got invited to this other youth group and, had heard the gospel over and over and over and over again, had the Bible preached kind of in sequence. It was the first time that had ever happened in my life where somebody would preach through a book of the Bible. And I remember just sitting there at this rally and just having this deep kind of recognition that I was lost and that I was going to hell. And I went out in the parking lot and like by myself. I was there with a bunch of friends of mine, and I went out in the parking lot and I just remember just crying out that the Lord would save me, and He graciously did. And after I got saved, I had a friend that invited me to First Baptist O'Fallon, which is a significantly sized Southern Baptist church in O'Fallon, Missouri, and had a really good youth pastor my senior year of high school that discipled me really well and taught me a lot of trust in God's word and then those kind of things. And then just kind of in that season began to feel called to the ministry. Wanted to do that, was interested in that, and went to Missouri Baptist University, where I met my wife Shannon. And we served, or we were there. And while I was there, I went there to be a history major, because I'm a nerd and I like history and all that kind of stuff. And I had a friend that asked what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to go into ministry, and he said, "Then why aren't you training for the ministry? Why are you getting a history degree?" And so I switched my major to biblical languages and got a degree in Greek and Hebrew, and then went to Southern Seminary. Let's be clear, the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary.
Yeah.
All those words are important.
Is there different ones?
Well, there are,
Yeah.
but none of them are the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary.
Do
It's
we
in
have
the
like
name.
a the Ohio State thing except for
It is,
okay, all right,
100%.
cool. I want to go back to your story. You were talking about you went out to the parking lot and you said like I asked the Lord to save me and He graciously did. Like, did you know that like right there, and how did you know that?
Yeah, so I didn't know that. In fact, I genuinely thought that I knew the Lord at that stage of my life and thought that I had rededicated my life to Christ. And years later, a couple of years later, actually, I was in college and I had a friend in college, and her name was Eleanor. And Eleanor and I went to the same high school. And she was a couple of years ahead of me, but we'd gone to the same high school. We'd known each other. We actually sat at the lunch table together,
Yeah.
et cetera. And she came up to me one day and she said, "James, I just have to know what happened to you, because you're nothing like you used to be." And it began to dawn on me that what happened in the parking lot was not some rededication, but that I was in fact lost. And that sense of dread was real dread, and not just like, oh, I feel guilty because I'm not doing this well enough.
Yeah.
And that I had been saved.
Hmm.
And actually had come into a personal relationship with the Lord and was hungry for the things of God, hated my own sin, loved righteousness more and more. And so, yeah, so I didn't know.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people that grow up in Christian homes don't know.
Yeah.
Like they don't realize maybe how lost they are because they can speak all the Christian languages, they understand all the things. They've been to church camp their whole lives.
Yeah.
They've been on mission trips, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and it kind of gets like scary because you almost because like I was that kid who like tried to get saved at every salvation night because like maybe this time it'll work,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
And the scary part of that is you as you get older, you can actually conform habits and disciplines in a way that make you feel that because you're improving your habits and disciplines that you're like, okay, I guess it's progressively getting better and better, which could be blinding in some aspects too.
Yeah. And I think America, Western Christianity, and especially has what I would call an obsession with the moment of conversion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have a book by
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
so
Sorry.
I have a book by a guy named Jan Overden. He was a Dutch Reformed pastor in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Actually spent time in Dachau for defending Christian education during World War II, the concentration camp.
Hmm.
And in this book, it's called The Adventures of a Deserter. And it's essentially a walk through the book of Jonah. And he essentially argues that when you look at the reformational documents, none of the reformational catechisms or confessions answer the question, when are you saved? They all answer the question, what does it mean to be saved?
And how? Yeah.
And how. So like essentially the challenge there is in evangelical life, people will ask you, when did you come to know the Lord? And for a lot of people, that can be tricky.
Well, yeah, because it almost sounds like a finality to it in one aspect.
But also I have to be able to identify when things actually changed. And maybe I can't.
Yeah. And if you can't, then you're not saved.
Right. Like there's that kind of concern.
Mm.
And Overton basically makes the argument that the confessions ask, what does it mean to be saved? So the question is actually better, are you converted? And then he gives tools, or the confessions give tools. So like the Heidelberg Catechism or an Orthodox Catechism, which is my favorite Baptist catechism, would say, I hate my own sin more and more, and I love God's good things more and more. And that's what a Christian looks like.
How did Jan get there with Jonah? What was he doing with Jonah?
The theological question of when is Jonah converted?
Or is he?
Or is he?
That was one of the fun questions I thought about while we were sitting there too. Is like, do you think Jonah's in heaven?
I do, actually, yeah. I think he's converted at the bottom of the ocean. But
in chapter
2.
Yeah.
When and
interesting.
People get frustrated with Jonah because it ends in that really awkward kind of way where like God and Jonah are sitting on the side of the hill and Jonah's throwing a temper tantrum.
Well, it's kind of funny. Like when you talk to different people, Jonah is either a like hailed regard prophet, which I'm like, you didn't get past chapter 2. Or like he sucks.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, like when I talk about Jonah, I'm like, if you read the whole thing, this did not go well. But that's interesting. Yeah, keep going what you're saying though. So you think he converted?
I think he's converted. I think what you find in the book of Jonah, from my vantage point, is a really spoiled prophet at the very beginning of the book. So Jonah is only mentioned one other time in the Bible. I can't remember the exact reference. I think it's in 2 Kings. Where he
Old Testament. I feel like he gets referenced.
Well, I mean, like,
new,
but yeah. So he's in the narrative of the Old Testament. He's only mentioned one other time, and he's bringing a word of good things to the king that he's going to expand the realm to one of the kings. And so you kind of Jonah jumps up on the scene. And he has been asked to do only this like wonderful thing of telling the king that the world is going to get better for the king. And now he is supposed to go tell the Ninevites, who are horrendous. Like historical documents would tell us, these are super, super bad guys. Yeah. Like skull piles outside their towns, bodies on pikes, all that kind of stuff, super normal for them. He's got to go tell them to repent. And from the very beginning of the book, Jonah kind of knows what that means. What it means is they're gonna repent. That he's being sent there to offer them grace, and that God intends to give them grace. Which is why I would argue, if I didn't think it was the bottom of the ocean, I'd say he's converted all the way through. He gets it.
Right.
In fact, in chapter 4, when he's throwing his temper tantrum, it's because the entire city repents. And he's like, I knew you were going to do this.
And it makes him mad.
And it makes him mad because these people have really hurt the Israelites. And they've really hurt his people, and they're the enemies, and they're the bad guys, and God's showing them grace and mercy. So what I think you have at the end of the book of Jonah is it ends really poorly in our Hollywood mentality. But Jonah's alive, and God is sitting with him on the side of the mountain. And then the book closes, and we don't hear anything else about Jonah's life. The problem that I think most people have is that they just think that's the end of Jonah's story.
Oh, yeah. Or that's where they stop thinking about.
Or that's where they stop thinking about.
Similar to people do this with a rich young ruler.
Yes.
Like
what happened to that person? Or, this is the same kind of thing that has happened with like Chronicles of Narnia, where like Susan's not in the last battle, and the last thing we kind of hear about her is she's maybe chased some worldly things and all those kind of things. And years later, somebody wrote a letter to Lewis, and Lewis's response was, well, she's just not dead. I didn't tell you the end of her story. And I think that's incredibly important. So when we get to the end of Jonah, it's unsatisfying for the reader that wants closure.
Yeah.
But the reality is that God's not done with Jonah, and he's still engaging Jonah.
Yeah.
And when God is done with people, he does not engage with them. He just brings judgment. And I don't think that's what's happening. I think he's training him and teaching him and discipling him at the end of the book.
Do you think he could be a prophet without being converted? Because he was a prophet at the beginning of the book.
Yeah, and that's why I said I think there's a good argument. I think that something does change in his heart in the bottom of the ocean.
Obviously. That
Toward
prayer
obedience.
in chapter 2,
Yes.
I heard a sermon once. I think I would assume I know your take. That prayer in chapter 2, I listened to somebody. I think, first of all, it's a short book. Do the whole book if you're going to preach on Jonah, right?
I did,
or at least the whole story.
I did in 4 weeks.
Yeah. But don't stop at chapter 2.
That's a terrible idea.
That's a terrible idea. Anyway, I deliberated with some guys over this for a while because we were pretty torn up on it. But if you isolate chapter 2, it looks like a really righteous prayer from Jonah. And so the conclusion that you kind of are left to draw, if you stop right there, or even just in general with the prayer itself, whether you stop or not, that prayer in chapter 2 is either sarcastic, right? Or it shows just the fickleness of the human to confess all these things that are true about the Lord, and then in the next chapter be angry at God for not killing everybody. What is the attitude around?
Well, I mean, I think one of our problems, I think we do this all the time, but one of our problems with Christianity in general is that we assume that when people are converted, that means that they get it all right.
Right.
So,
that all of a sudden here in chapter 3, he should act amazingly graceful.
3, he acts great. He goes in.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. 40 days, Nineveh will be overthrown and everybody gets converted. Super eloquent sermon there. 40 days, Nineveh will be overthrown, and everybody gets sackcloth and ashes, repenting, because the Lord is the one doing the work. I mean, I think the story in the book of Jonah, the funny thing is the story in the book of Jonah is everybody gets saved. Everybody Jonah comes into contact with, even in his disobedience, ends up worshiping the Lord.
Why do you think that made Jonah mad?
I think it makes him mad, especially with the Ninevites, because he is a particularist. He wants God for his people and his people alone. He is narrow-minded, he's spoiled, he's selfish. He's disengaged from the reality of other people's suffering and that sin really hurts people. Um, and so he has this kind of reality that he doesn't want the Lord to give grace to all these other places because they've done bad things. Um, and I think he comes out and he shares this message of hope and opportunity that you can repent now, right? Like this is the warning.
Yeah.
And then he sees the fallout of that and he gets really frustrated. And then we go, well, isn't he a terrible follower of the Lord? And like, frankly, I just think that misses the nature of Christianity. I mean, Peter confesses that Jesus is the Christ at Caesarea Philippi, and within verses in the Gospel of Mark, like he's being like, "Hey, you can't go to the cross." And then, he's sifted like wheat and rejects Jesus 3 times in eyesight of Jesus. Um, and so, I think over and over and over again, what you find is that the story of Christianity and the story of the gospel is a story of not just second chances, third chances, and fourth chances, and fifth chances, and slow developing, simple life that comes closer and closer to the Lord over an extendedly long period of time.
And
So,
so all that back to a little bit of the over glorification of your salvific event.
yeah.
That's not as marketable, right? To
Sure, and it's not as numerically, engaged, right? Like,
correct. You can't measure that.
you know, churches are not immune to culture. Most evangelical churches are just 1950s culture, especially in their model. So like all the systems that you see in most evangelical churches are just 1950s, 1940s corporate
Yeah.
like functionality systems. Um, and we like to know that what we're doing is working. And so we want to count things.
Right.
And you can count the moment of conversion, or you can count what appears to be the moment of conversion. And you can count baptisms, and you can count people that showed up and decisions that were made and all of these kind of things. Um, but the real measure of the thing is lives and legacies that are changed.
Which takes
Yeah.
years to measure.
Yeah, it does. I mean, like the part of the story that I didn't tell was, like my mom loves the Lord. She's a sweet lady. My dad did not. I grew up in a super broken home with some really rough stuff. That was mostly my dad's doing. And you know, it for most of my adult life, my dad was this figure that like terrified me.
He was a pastor, right?
No, my dad was
Oh.
not.
Oh, okay.
No, no. My
Grandpa
my grand my
was?
my grandpa and my great grandpa were.
Got it. Okay. Your dad was not.
My dad's not. My dad didn't know the Lord. And when I say terrified me, I don't mean like he was a terrifying figure that was like going to abuse me or anything like that. I was afraid of becoming him because of the damage that he did over time in my life. And, you know, the kindness of the Lord is that the Lord brought other men to shape me, good Christian men to teach me how to be a husband and how to be a father and how to not be him. Well, the measure of that is not what happened in the parking lot in Winsville, Missouri in 2001.
Yeah.
The measure of that is, my wife and I just passed our 20th wedding anniversary, and I've got 4 wonderful kids that love to spend time with each other and love to spend time with their parents, and that's the measure of
Yeah.
what the Lord's done in my life. And
Well, and I guess like where my brain's going is like why do we have to measure in general? Like, do you feel like there is a like a I don't know. I mean, obviously there can be uses to measuring, but it does seem like we can sometimes overemphasize having to measure and quantify something all of the time. And I feel like the Bible and church culture rejects that over
Yeah.
history. But
Capitalism.
yeah, is that it?
I think so.
That's not a plug for socialism, by the way.
It's
That's
not.
just,
I'm not
but I
saying
mean,
it
yeah,
even in a negative kind of way. I'm just
yeah,
saying like we function like everybody is a product of the culture that they swim in. Nobody is a self-made person
right.
or Christian Smith in his book To Flourish or Destruct argues that a self-made person would be feral. Like if you have somebody that is solely developed by themselves, of themselves, in themselves, like you're talking about the kid that grows up in the woods
Yeah,
with no human interaction.
yeah,
Well, that's a feral person.
yeah,
They're not actually well.
right.
We were all
And still shaped by something,
yeah,
nature.
bad things.
Yeah,
We were all shaped by parents and teachers and pastors and coaches and all of those kind of things. And so we're all a product of the culture that we live in. Well, we live in a very count everything culture,
Hmm.
right? Like we live in a culture where our model of capitalism is every year has to be better than the last year.
right.
Because the stock isn't going to go up if we don't show an increase of revenue. The steady revenue isn't actually okay.
Yeah,
So the steady number isn't actually okay. So everything has to be bigger and better and bigger and better.
yeah,
And that seeps into our churches because not even out of some like evilness to it,
yeah.
but it's the way we think as Americans and as Westerners in general. And so what that has led to, I think, is a disdain for simple life in the church. Everybody's looking for the big moment that's going to make everything better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's turned Sundays into like I don't know, our pastor at church said it this past week where like everybody and you might disagree, but everybody treats Sunday like it's game day. Like Sunday's the game day, everybody shows up and it's really more like rest and rehab day.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like it should be.
Yeah, I think so. My vision of Christianity in the Bible is um, under the classification of what we would call the means of grace. So the means of grace are the places that you meet Jesus through the power of the Spirit. So that's reading your Bible, that's praying, that's the ordinances, or depending on your tradition, you might call them the sacraments, like the Lord's Supper and baptism, um, and the gathering of the body. And so, what I see Christianity as, in Thessalonians, it says that we're to live a quiet life, working with our hands, depending on no one. Loving the brotherhood. There's a whole list in, I think it's First Thessalonians 4, and that's what Christianity is supposed to be. This quiet, regular, rhythmic system of loving the Lord, finding yourself in his presence, sharing the gospel, working hard. All of those kind of things go into what Christianity is supposed to be in the New Testament.
You said depending on no one. Is that in there?
Yeah, it is.
I struggle with that one a little bit. I'm assuming that doesn't mean you don't. I feel like there's by design of the church body a design of
I think it's it's not depending
interdependence.
on outsiders.
Right. Yeah.
I think the principled idea there is
It's not solo individualistic, I'll keep quiet to myself and,
right, but
you know.
it's being competent adults. Um,
Well, and yeah, sheep to only one shepherd, not
yeah.
to anything
So
outside.
it's to mind your own affairs.
Okay.
Another translation says, you know,
Depending on no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But essentially it's so it's 11 and 12 to aspire to live quietly, to mind your own affairs, to work with your hands as we instructed you. So that you may walk properly before outsiders and be dependent on no one. And I think the principled idea there is Christianity is supposed to create adults that can adult. And it's supposed to create people that don't need the world to be fantastic.
Or to even serve them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they are perfectly content living the life that they have been given in the means of grace, going to work, reading their Bibles, leading their families in worship, sharing the gospel with lost people, serving in their local congregation, not needing it to be big and exciting and all of these other things, not even necessarily looking for it to be this emotionally driven reality, but it is a simple life and a simple faith. And I think that's contrasted with a performance that, is necessary. Like I would say that Sunday morning is super, super important, but I don't say that from a artistic vantage point. Like, I don't think everything has to go well technologically. I don't think our show needs to be the best. I don't think our live stream needs to be super on par. I mean, we don't even have
I
one
was
right
gonna say,
now.
are you even live streaming anymore? Good for you.
I think Athan would like us to, mostly because he'd like to figure out how to set it up, and that's just his jam.
Yeah.
But it's important because it is the place that you come to sit and have the word of God proclaimed to you. And most people on Sunday morning are silent. They're not giving the message. They're not praying. They're not reading the word like out loud. They're not doing all those kind of things. And so they are recipients of a grace, which is the word of God proclaimed. And if it's proclaimed faithfully over the course of time, your mind and the way you read the Bible is shaped by the way the Bible is preached, the way people function, and all of those kind of things. And then it's just a very simple thing that I don't need more and more and more and more. I just need to be able to follow the Lord well. And I think that more and more and more actually gets us in a lot of trouble, because it gets us in a lot of trouble in our personal lives because we fill our calendars so full that we are ineffective. And it gets ourselves in trouble in our churches because we're running after something that we're never going to be as good at as everybody else is.
Right.
I remember.
Well, there's no end to it.
No. Billy Graham was preaching in Hollywood in one of his revivals, and an actor came up to him and said, "Hey, don't entertain us. We're better at that than you are. Just preach the word."
Wow.
And that's
how did he take that?
Well.
Good.
Like it was a good challenge to him. He was like, "Oh, yeah, you're probably right." So like when people are like, Christians don't make good movies and they don't make good this and they don't, yeah, that's because that's not what, like, I disagree historically speaking. I think Christians have made a lot of beautiful
that they're bad
art
at making a movie because they're Christians.
Right.
They might just be bad at making a movie.
That's true. But there is a sense in which the world is better at those things because the world has moral freedom that we don't. Like the world can tell a story that is darker or more risque or more intriguing to the senses in a place that a Christian goes. I don't really think that's a story that needs to be out there in public because it's not a good thing.
Right.
And so
I haven't seen very many Christian horror movies,
I mean, Frankenstein.
Is that a Christian horror movie?
I mean, it was written by Christians.
Oh, cool. Was it good?
It was a book first.
Okay, but the movie was made by Christians. You're talking about.
Yeah.
They didn't write the book, though.
No, they didn't.
Okay, yeah. Anyway.
I think, I've had a lot of people say that old horror is actually very Christian. because it's always an identifiable evil that always is supposed to lose.
Hmm.
And that's just kind of a narrative conversation of like,
Yeah.
how does the world function, and how do you see the world, and that's the stuff that intrigues me historically and theologically. Is I find why people ask questions to be far more interesting than the answers that they get.
Um, so what do you feel like the purpose of the church is? Period. Obviously, that shouldn't change over cultures, but especially like in today's, like your vision for the church, because I think now culturally it feels very countercultural from a like I think even a lot of Christians are exhausted with the practice of church. So what is kind of like your view, your what the church was intended to be and how that looks today?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
So, I mean, the Great Commission says that the church's purpose, its primary mission is to make disciples of all nations, teaching them all the things that Jesus taught and baptizing them in the name of Christ. And so the primary objective of Christianity and the church, its mission, is to make disciples. Some of what exhausts us is that we do a whole bunch of stuff that's not that. So, if, for example, your primary objective at State Farm is to sell insurance, right? And selling insurance becomes 20% of what you do at State Farm, then all of a sudden you're spending a lot of energy on things that are not the primary goal of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we distract ourselves with things that are not making disciples,
Like what?
I mean, I would say about every social program that you could possibly imagine. And I'm not saying that
Every church social program you're talking about?
I'm talking about every, yeah. I mean, you could
We're talking about
say that.
church. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I would
yeah.
say, but like the idea, even in the cultural social programs, is then because they're good things, churches should do them too, because churches are only supposed to do good things and they're
Right.
supposed to do all the good things. Where the reality is a lot of those things are Christian vocation things. Like Christians set up hospitals the first time, they built schools the first time. Like that's where all that stuff comes from. Like Christians did all of that stuff. Like there's the kind of funny meme of the secularist that's drug himself, or that's standing at the top of the mountain going, look where I am. And then there's like the church that like drug
Hmm.
societies up the mountain so that everybody could look around.
Yeah.
Christians instituted public education. They instituted hospitals. Guinness Beer Company was run by Christians in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they were one of the first to institute like corporate housing for their employees and in on-site medicine and all of that kind of stuff.
Guinness, like the beer?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
A wonderful book on what I would say is good moral capitalism is The Search for God in Guinness. And it's essentially a biography of the Guinness Beer Company and how Dublin was in a terrible state of affairs and they made money hand over fist. But while they did that, they raised the quality of life all around them. And so Christians have always done that kind of stuff. Orphanages, food pantries, homeless shelters, all of that kind of stuff. The question is that the job of the church corporate, the institution, or is that the job of individual Christians as they walk through the world and see needs and find ways to serve their neighbors? And I would argue that all of those things are. So if you remember my church and you came to me and said, we got all of these orphans in our community. is First Baptist Church's responsibility as an organization to house all the orphans? Not necessarily. But this Christian that comes to me and says, I'm really worried about all these orphans, well, then you should build an orphanage. And we're going to be there right behind you, right beside you. We're going to love you. We're going to pray for you. We're going to give you whatever financial resources we can towards the ends of that. But is that then something that the elders of the church are responsible to manage? Or is that this thing that exists in the life of a Christian that is a good thing?
Mm. Yeah, it's almost like there's this view of churches, and some of it's probably been earned, of like almost like it's a, like investment banking firm, and that like these are the pros at, doing these kind of things that's in the Christian realm. And this is what I get my 10% for.
Yeah. Right.
This is what I pay my premiums for. And yeah, I mean, I think some of that's been earned. Like when you look at some of these churches that are making gazillions of dollars, I do get some of the speculation around like, all right, why don't you do such and such thing? But yeah, if my lens is through that church is, a body of believers that, rest, recover, and train together to go out and do Monday through Saturday, then yeah, this idea that like what, church put on this program is like, no.
Yeah.
Church, yeah.
The guys who are called into pastoral ministry, their job is to equip the saints for the work of ministry, according to Ephesians chapter 4.
Yep.
So their job isn't to do all the things.
Right.
It's to make
they also have families and lives. And
I think the other thing that like societally is really like fundamentally broken is the average church in America is 60 people. So the vast majority of churches in America are not actually terribly large, and they don't have extraordinarily large budgets. Like the whole conversation that's going around in our society today about we should tax churches, et cetera, like you can cut this if you want, but to me, it's a scam to steal minority properties in urban centers.
No, we don't have to cut that.
Because most churches, from a balance sheet perspective, are not profitable. So like First Baptist Church would never pay income tax as a church.
Yeah.
Because we never actually make any money.
Yeah.
We either spend it all or we don't make enough.
Yeah.
Like I think in the 14 years that I've been here, we've had a surplus once, and it was because somebody died and left us a whole bunch of money that then we threw a bunch of that money back into a property that hadn't been updated in 40 years. So like most churches, from a balance sheet perspective, if you treat them like a business, they're going to lose money every single year.
Yeah.
Where they're going to get ripped apart by the tax law is property taxes. Well, I'm not going to get killed in Howard County because we don't have absurd property taxes. But your 30-member, minority Baptist church in New York City that's had a building since the 1800s, that owns the building free and clear, that now is going to have to pay Manhattan taxes on their building. The government's then going to take that building away from that 30 or 40 member small, tiny congregation. And it's going to hurt poor and primarily minority congregations. And
and that's going to be rooted in this horrible counting system of, they're going to look at that church and go, you have 30 people. What are you doing? You don't even deserve to have this building.
Or they're looking at giant mega church that makes hand over fist money and does run a surplus every year and would have an income tax every year. Mr. Potter's global super mega church that has 7 TV shows and flies 3 corporate jets and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's only
I kind of want to tax them.
There's only like 15 of them. Like there's just not that many of them.
Yeah.
Most churches are really small and really poor.
Yeah.
Because
maybe they can do like a tax bracket type system.
I mean, they probably could do something like that.
But then they would just buy even more jets as write-offs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They would find a way to not be profitable because they're business people. And like, I mean, you're a businessman. I've worked with businessmen a lot over my life. And I remember years ago a conversation where the state of Kentucky was getting ready to raise the minimum wage. And I was working at a golf course with a guy who was a businessman and a golf pro. And I said, "So what are you going to do?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to raise rates. I'm going to get mine. Like, I'm going to make my money. This isn't going to impact me at all." That's the principle of, and I don't know any businessmen that don't like, they're going to figure out the system. All most businessmen I know want is a system that doesn't change very much.
Yeah. I think that's most humans.
But if most businessmen get a system that doesn't change very much, they are going to figure out how to operate in that system most effectively because that's what they're gifted at.
Yeah. I don't think that's inherently wrong.
No, I don't
And
either.
you're not saying that.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I think it's inherently normal.
Right.
I'm just saying.
And especially in the tax code, I think you have an obligation to do everything you can to take advantage of it.
Yes. But I'm just saying, like, most businessmen I know don't actually care about the policy that's made in the long run, whether it's a more liberal policy or a more conservative policy, et cetera. They just want the policy to remain the same so they can figure out how to operate inside of it. Their concerns are more, the more you whiplash the system, the less they can feel their ground and the less they can function and be profitable and effective and all of those kind of things.
I mean, some of this has gone around the questions around, the local sales tax issue that I've been talking about for a few months. And then also now Missouri talking about Amendment 5, where I've been very clear that like I will benefit financially greatly from that change. And I don't think it should happen.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that there's a lot of, I think where I get really sad is just like the attitude of like, well, it doesn't affect me, so, or it helps me, so, up to heck with the causes, or whatever. So,
so most churches are not going to get hurt or not going to on the balance sheet be profitable.
Yeah.
But they are going to lose their properties that were bought and paid for.
And is the kind of the verbatim is kind of the stuff people are talking about is getting rid of all tax exemptions.
Yes.
So there's not even like a middle ground of like income versus property.
No, they don't want.
You're probably right. Blackstone's about to own all the churches in New York.
And it's never going to, at this point, it won't go through because it'll die at the Supreme Court because
hopefully
you can't, like, to tax somebody is to control speech. Because the books on the law say money is speech.
Interesting.
And so, you have to treat all 501c3s exactly the same. You can't differentiate. So the reality is the thing that people don't recognize is they'll say, we'll tax churches because we don't like them. If you tax churches, you have to tax public schools. And you have to tax your private colleges, and you have to tax your, food pantries, and you have to tax because there are no differences between the classifications. All 501c3s are the same. So the 501c3s that you like are also going to lose their properties, and they're also running on razor-thin budgets because the nonprofit world is, in fact, most of the time not profitable.
Yeah.
Which is why, people make a lot of extra money in the private sector, but they don't make a lot of extra money in nonprofits.
Right. You just get to see the cases where there's some mega bigs making silly rich stuff off of.
So it ends up being a land grab.
And a decision that's intended for a small group of people that will affect everybody. That's what I get sick of, is just blanket changes because a couple people ruin the system. But
yeah. I mean, bad actors are going to be in every system you put together.
Yeah, I've always just said use the same amount of firepower you're using to sweep the whole system to go after the bad people.
Yeah. I mean, like, you could probably prove that they're breaking the law in 7 other different ways.
Yeah, like hiding cash in a bathroom.
Correct.
Have you ever done that?
No.
Okay, we can cut that if you need to.
No. We did one time renovate a church in Kentucky and found like bottles of like Maker's Mark in the wall.
Oh.
Empty bottles of Maker's Mark.
Empty.
Whoever built the
Just
church.
put them in the trash, man.
Whoever built him in the church, like set him there, then like drive
Somebody
him over
probably
the
thought
top.
that'd be funny. Like,
That's
yeah,
probably
someday
true.
when
Yeah.
that's funny.
That's probably true.
Similar along these lines about counting and things like this. I saw your post the other day about like longevity of pastoral
Yeah.
ministry in that career. And obviously I know you have shared publicly and a lot just the challenges of being a pastor and things like that and how difficult it's continuing to be,
Yeah.
right? I had this thought, and I was talking to John about it too. I was like, and I've had it a lot in my own business where, and I guess the question that I'll start with is like, because I think you put on there, was it like reasons for quitting and then how many years they had made it? Some post.
I don't know which one that was.
Either way, I think my point
I posted
is,
one that talked about why people didn't make it.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
And it was
It
like,
was like a bar chart, right?
yeah.
And
From
it just
Lifeway.
made me think of like, to you, in your definition, are we in our churches allowing cultural influences that would say that working for 40 years is a successful career? Is that influencing how we determine what's working and not working in our church cultures? Like, is it a failure if a pastor is like one of the things I really appreciated about Piper is that he hung it up with a whole lot of juice in the tank, if you ask me.
Sure.
He's obviously been on a tear with his nonprofit for the past 20 years since retiring. But like, is this idea, is it cultural, and it probably is. And then further, is it biblical to have this idea to shepherd a flock for 30 or 40 years? Or do we need to rethink it and go, the time period doesn't matter?
Yeah. I mean, I think, let me couple that with another post that I made recently. I got a really good friend. It was John and I's pastor when we were in college. His name's Scott Lee. Scott pastors a church in Arnold, Missouri, Rockport Baptist Church. And I think he just passed 35 years, 34, 35 years, something like that. Just insane amount of time.
Yeah.
Super faithful guy. And I was just thinking about, what does it take? Like, I think this is part of the conversation. Okay. What does it take to make it in one place for a really long time? Okay. So one, it takes some kind of intestinal fortitude to do it, right? Like anything you want to do for a long period of time kind of takes, hey, I'm gonna
Grit.
stick and grit, and there are bad days.
Yeah.
They're gonna be
endure.
Yeah. There are people in my life, like just there are people in my life that get phone calls that have to get yelled, like they're not here. They're not like, these are like some of my best friends that live across the country and they're pastors in other places. And I'll call them and I'll be very angry and unhappy about something, and they will listen, and then they will encourage me and all of those kind of things. Right. And so, but you have to have the fortitude to say, I'm going to make it through the bad days and the bad times and just keep going. Because there are a lot of people that if you put some roadblocks in their way, they're out, and they're out quick, right? Like the joke in wrestling is all the time that like you can get a lot of people to come out for the sport. A lot of people don't make it to week 2.
Right.
If the first time you have to go live for 30 minutes, you got a lot of guys going, I don't want to do this. This is hard.
Yeah.
So you have to have that. You
Right.
have to have a very intentional commitment to personal righteousness, because a lot of things that ruin guys' ministries are they didn't protect their marriage, they didn't parent their kids well, they didn't take care of their financial resources, they didn't they fell off into this sin or that sin, or they were quarrelsome or angry or prideful or whatever, and they didn't take personal righteousness really seriously. So through various different ways, like I don't know if you saw it, like Clayton kind of mentioned on the post with the bar graph, that there's a lot of those things in there about like family and marriage and that kind of stuff that could also be related to moral failure.
Right.
Right. Like if I'm a bad dad and my kids go chaotic, then I haven't managed my household well and I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
If I'm a bad husband,
Yeah.
like it's going to show up.
Yeah.
If I'm terrible with money, it's going to show up.
And I think like a lot of this conversation, like the way you're talking even now, is rooted in like that 35-year run is successful.
It is.
We would call that successful. Does that need to be the expectation on everybody?
No, it doesn't. Because I think the third thing that it takes to make it 35 years is a bunch of providential grace.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I don't like. I think it's unfair to
plug along and be super faithful and do all the right things in all the right ways, and God, things happen that are in the Lord's providence that you can't foresee. That is nobody's fault.
Yeah.
I could probably tell 3 or 4 different stories. I don't want to, only because they're hard things for other people, not my hard things.
Yeah. I'm just like wondering if there's room for a new expectation or not even expectation, but just going like I think obviously you got to make it some period of time.
Sure.
But this idea that it's not a banger unless you get 20, 30 plus years on,
Yeah. I mean, I think the question for me is always, there's 2 questions. Like, one, in Acts chapter 20, when Paul is leaving the Ephesians, he gives this whole speech. And in the middle of it, he says, my hands are clean. Like, I'm innocent of your blood. In other words, I've done all the things that I'm supposed to do. I've preached the word to you. I've cared for you. I've loved you. I've shepherded you. I've done all the things that I'm supposed to do. If you haven't listened or you haven't done those things, like, the consequences are on your own head. I didn't come here and ignore my responsibilities and ignore, right? I did, the old joke about.
Is that why he left though?
No, he left because he was going to Rome to be arrested.
Right.
But he is saying to them in this thing, like, I've done all of this. There's going to be wolves that are going to come in. You're going to have to do, if you don't do the appropriate things after I leave, that it's going to be on you. You can't look back and blame me because I did all the things that I was supposed to do. So for me, successful ministry is at the end of my life being able to say, I have clean hands. I was faithful to the word of God. I was faithful to my wife. I was faithful to my kids. I was faithful to the church. I was faithful to all of those things. And in all of those things, faithful to Jesus. That's what it means to be successful.
In life.
In life, yeah. And then I think in pastoral ministry.
Yeah.
And then the question then comes, but your church didn't baptize 750 people in the last 5 years. Well, that's the Lord's providence. It's not mine. Like, I'm not in control of those things. Yeah. All I can do is do the things that I've been given to do, and whatever results come from that. And I think that's true in business as well. Like, you can do all the right things in business and it just fails.
Right. Well, and everything you're describing doesn't necessarily have time parameters.
Right.
And that's where I'm wondering, and maybe you can kind of harp on this too, like, what does calling mean? And is there like space for, like, if you were just like, and I don't know if I'm making sense, but like, obviously you don't want to, I just think we've let this definition of, I do this in my business a lot where subconsciously all the decisions and the thoughts I have are about like this, like, business that's going to exist in perpetuity.
Sure.
And if I'm being honest, I'm 30. I could possibly be halfway through my life. And I'm making decisions like I can see 60, 80 years in advance. Or like this idea that businesses have to exist for 200 plus years. Sometimes you just have a good run.
Yeah.
A 10-year ice cream shop runs a good run. And that's where I'm trying to get an idea.
I think that there's a couple of different things that are true in that regard, okay? One is that churches don't always have, and nothing, I would say, always has an internal season of success. Okay,
Say that again.
Nothing has an eternal season of success.
Right.
Okay. So when I say that, I mean like super profitability, super fruitfulness, all that kind of stuff.
But that is the thing that subconsciously dances in our mind.
That's correct. Yeah. If you look at history, and this is where I think history becomes really important for Christians, like, read a book. That's my plan.
Not on your phone. Touch it.
Go read history, read biography, look at what's happening. Most of these like super revivals that we think about in history, they're a year at longest. in a particular place.
Like a example.
So like, I have a book about like the Scottish revivals in the 1700s, and it's about a pastor from Kilsyth, and they have like I think an 18-month revival or something like that. I can't remember the exact parameters. It's not terribly long. The ministry is never as fruitful before and never as fruitful again as it is in those 18 months.
Yeah.
So what God did in those 18 months was super special. And then we go, well, I want the super special thing all the time.
Yeah. Or your brain even goes, well, it's kind of a failure now.
Right.
Why couldn't you sustain it?
So the faithfulness part is, as long as you are called to a place, do you do the work the right way? That's what success is. In life, in pastoral ministry, all of those kind of things. When it comes to calling, I would probably have a different take of calling than most evangelicals. Most evangelicals' vision of calling is super internal.
Yeah, personalized. Potentially even the voice of the Lord.
Right. Like, I've heard this, I'm called to this, I'm committed to this, all of these kind of things.
Which somewhat, you get some Gideon type, sackcloth.
Very rarely, though.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time, calling is, I'm called to be the pastor of First Baptist Church for 2 reasons. One, they told me they wanted me to be their pastor. I said, hey, would do it.
Yeah.
Like, give a resume.
Yeah.
I'd be your pastor. And they go, we are calling you to be our pastor. That is being called to pastoral ministry.
Yeah.
I'm gifted for it. I said I would do it. And a church, as a body, said, we're going to call you into this role.
Yeah.
Okay. And 2, they haven't told me to quit, and nobody else has called me. So until one of those things were to happen, I'm called to be the pastor of First Baptist Church. Like that's the end of my ministry here is they tell me to quit, or the Lord opens a door and something else is there and the Lord takes me somewhere else, which he does all the time in God's word. Right? He shifts people around all the time.
Yeah.
And so success is being this is going back to the simple conversation of 1 Thessalonians 4. Success is, I got a field to plow and sheep to tend every day. My faithfulness every day to that task is success. Because I'm not in control of a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I could do all the right things and a tornado comes and kills half my congregation. As horrendous as that would be, I can't control any of those kind of things.
Yeah.
If you were, I could, like I said, I've got stories about my experience at First Baptist Church over the years where I'd look up and go, I think God's doing this, and then something happens and it doesn't happen, or just a real heartbreaking thing will occur, or et cetera, et cetera. And you can't be in control of all of those things. So success and failure is not the numbers. It's faithfulness to the day and faithfulness to the task and the love of the process and the love of the grind. And I think that's what makes anybody successful at anything. And I don't think pastoral ministry is any different.
Yeah. How have you handled uncertainty through these seasons to not let it inform am I not in the right place? How have you handled that as an adult? Because I feel like that's a human condition.
Yeah, it certainly is. Good people in my life. I think I have a wonderful wife. I've told people before, I married a person that was raised by Northerners.
How north? What are you talking about?
My mother-in-law was from Maine.
Okay.
And that has helped me.
Explain.
My wife, you know her, but my wife is a tell you how it is kind of person. So if I'm doing or saying something really stupid, Shannon's going to say, that's really stupid.
And that's a Northern thing?
Northerners are far more blunt.
Yeah. They're nice.
Southerners are far more
They're nice, but they're very
passive,
blunt,
aggressive.
Yeah.
Like
Bless your
in the
heart.
North,
Yeah.
it's you're an idiot.
Yeah.
In the
But
South,
they say it really nice, right? No? Okay. Well, my wife's from Minnesota.
That's
and she
different.
can be blunt,
That's
but
not
it's
Northerner.
very...
That's not Northerner.
See, that's Midwest?
That's a Midwesterner.
Okay.
Northerners are like New Englanders.
Okay, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Maine. Okay. They are going to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, we've gone to Maine a lot because she's got family up there.
Yep.
And we'll walk out of a grocery store and Shannon will go, even I thought that person was aggressive. And so they're just really blunt.
Gotcha.
Like my mother-in-law was just super, super blunt person. There was no passive aggressiveness to it at all. Whereas like, you know, we've always made the joke that if the Lord ever called us to like the deep South, Shannon would need like one of those quarterback.
Yes, playbook.
Like you could say this, you can't say this is this situation, you can't say this.
Red 30. Red 30.
Yeah. Because in the South, you're an idiot is, oh, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
You know, or like a tonality of friend. You are an absolute moron.
Yeah.
And so people from different places communicate in different ways.
Yeah.
So for me personally, one of the things that the Lord has done is given me a wonderful wife that is willing to say hard things to me when I am not in a good place. He's also provided me some really close friends that aren't local, that will listen and hear and say hard things. Husband and wife pairs that just have loved us for years and years and years. One of them is actually from here, that isn't here anymore. And that's Jay Clatworthy.
I know that name, obviously.
Yeah, his grandpa used to own Clatworthy's in town.
Yeah.
Jay pastors in San Angelo, Texas. And he and his wife Sarah are just dear friends of ours. And, you know, he is a person that, I mean, we have had plenty over the years of just knock down, drag out, hot conversation that is about frustrations in life and ministry and all of those kind of things. And you have to have people that can bear it.
Yeah.
Like when you're not well, when everything is spiraling around you, like one story I can tell is I got here in 2012, I was 29 years old. My best friends when I got here were in their 70s and 80s because I pastored a church with several older folks in it. And one of my favorite people in the entire world was Doc Taylor. And Doc, when I first got here, Doc really went everywhere with me. He went on all my visits. He went to all the nursing homes. He introduced me to all these people. And when Doc died, I was just not okay. Like the first 10 years that I was here, I did 36 funerals. My dad died. And even though my dad and I didn't have like the greatest relationship, it's still not easy.
Yeah.
Like it's still your dad.
Right.
It's still hard.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways over the years, like death has just attended like my life and our family and those kind of ways. Years 8 and 9 of my pastorate here, my in-laws passed away in 2020 and 2021.
That did not feel like that long ago.
Yeah. And my wife's grandmother passed away. And so like just a lot of death, a lot of loss, some of it, older folks, some of it really young folks. We lost a dear young man, 26, that had a wife and 3 children. So kind of all of those things, I was just not well. And Jay and my friend David, like they would get phone calls that were like despondent that I couldn't really have with a lot of other people because, not everybody can handle that level of despondency.
Right.
So what do you do in those days? Well, you got to have people that can talk to you. You got to have people that can tell you, like I've had a conversation with Jay before where I've just been like, well, I just can't do et cetera, et cetera, et cetera anymore. He goes, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? Well, I'm going to get up and go to work and do my job. you know, because they're the guys that like, they're going to listen to you. And then they go, well, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have triggers to pull, right?
Yeah.
If you're not like, well, I'm going to walk out the door tomorrow and I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anywhere else to go. Like, I don't have another job. I don't have this. I don't have that.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do tomorrow? Well, all of my bluster and my frustration and all of those kind of things, I'm just going to get up tomorrow and go to work.
As you've gotten older and done this longer, do the blusters, have they reduced or have they increased?
That just depends on the conversation.
Okay.
There are things that they've reduced on. There are things they've increased on. You know, I think when I was younger, they were much higher on things that I couldn't control. Like more anxieties about things that I couldn't control. The older I've gotten, the breakdowns in my own heart and my own soul are just far more centered around what dream might have to die. So I take things I would probably take harder now than I used to would be the hope of a ministry or the hope of a direction that just the Lord does not see fit to go. I would
And you would say he would not see fit to go or to go that way because of the evidence that it's not going that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, hey, we're gonna do this.
I'm just seeing how you measure.
Yeah. Like so for me, like, okay, we're gonna
because it seems like lots of times you are looking back at what has happened and that's the measure. And then there's a lot of people, like this is where I would struggle in that instance. Like there's a lot of people that like I will look for the future evidence to go in that direction, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm not terribly complicated. So for me, I'm not like I'm a simple person that likes to think simply, and
I don't know.
for me, I look at things and go, I think I need to go in this direction. So whether it's a ministerial thing or a personal thing, et cetera, et cetera. And
typically that thought is informed by
probably just a lot of wisdom or a lot of like, like, so let's just say
like you're not shiny object.
I'm not nearly as much as I used to be. When I was young, new phone, new this, new that.
Yeah.
I'm a lot less of that now.
Yeah. But even church trends, I mean.
Like, I'm very not that.
Yeah.
Not even very good at it. Like, just frankly, like, I would be really bad at that. Like, I don't have the skill set for that. I just don't. I'm very put me in a field and let me do my work.
Right.
And it's going to be the same week in and week out consistently. I don't have a lot of variation.
Yeah. I mean, but you're just like talking about being frustrated on when you think you see somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Like you see another field.
Like I even look at preaching like Albert Pujols looked at hitting. I'm just trying to hit the ball straight.
All right.
Like Pujols used to say, I'm just trying to hit line drives.
Yeah.
And he was strong enough and had a good enough swing that a lot of those line drives went out.
Right.
But his actual success measure was, I'm just trying to make really good contact more often than not. So like when I preach a sermon, I'm not trying to hit a home run. I'm just trying to make contact with the ball. I feel like if I can make contact with the ball from the Word of God consistently over the course of decades or years, people are going to be helped. People are going to grow, and the Lord's going to do what the Lord's going to do.
Yeah.
So, maybe I want to buy a piece of property. Well, what is informing that? Well, it might be that I find real estate marketing tremendously fascinating, and I look at stuff like that all the time. And
you would have bought a postcard lot back in the 70s.
No, would not. Nope. I'm also super cheap, so that wouldn't have happened. But
Dude, I bet they bought the postcard lots for like a pack of blueberries.
That's probably true.
Back in the 60s or 70s.
6 packs of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And
somebody lost that on a hand of poker. Yeah.
So, but no, I'm not, I look at a piece of property and maybe I've looked at the trends or what they cost or those kind of things. And I go, well, that's a good price. Is it wise? Well, okay, I think it is. But then you might get 2 years down the road after you purchase something and go, yeah, that just didn't work.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was going to work.
Right.
But all the evidence around you says, well, I think I've overpaid for that. And it hasn't really accumulated like I thought it was going to.
Right. But I mean, you're talking about decisions that must have not ruined your entire financial well-being, in that type of aspect. So I'm trying to see where this in the church world when you're doing this.
I think that here's the thing. When you can function, and this is one thing that I would say I'm good at, okay? When you can function in a wheelhouse that it's never going to ruin you.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right.
So like
worst case scenarios are palatable.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Then you make decisions, and if it doesn't work and there's fallout from it, it's still going to be okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't stink and you don't get hurt or et cetera, et cetera. But
and then get confused about your own judgment, because I think that's some of the tough stuff that gets
That's
tough.
where those other people are really important.
Yeah.
Okay, well, because they'll help you like debrief.
Right.
Yeah,
they'll go, we told you that was going to happen, or you made the best decision with the information at hand.
Yeah.
Are you good on time? Do you need to?
I got to like 3:25.
Okay.
So I'm good.
Well, we've been pretty heavy, so I mean, we can lighten it up somewhere if you want to.
You're good.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't really.
Welcome to the show, James.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I think that decision making in ministry, I think your conversation of look back versus look forward. You have to determine what works and what doesn't work. And you have to determine what success is and what's not success. And then you have to determine, is this thing worth throwing more resources after because it's that important or not? And I think the challenge there is in ministry that all the things you're doing are good and have value. The question is, if we have this Sunday school program or that Sunday school program or this construction of a small group or that construction of a small group, or, we run this welcoming program or that welcoming program, and I don't even know what those things would be because we don't do any of those things.
Yeah.
And that's where I would say, like, I wouldn't be very good at that stuff. Like, I've never lived in that world. I've always lived in really quiet baseline churches. My entire life I have spent, or at least my entire kind of adult cognitive, like I understand what's going on around me. I've been in churches that care very deeply about preaching the word of God, care very deeply about training, and care very deeply about the communities that they live in. That's the kind of churches that I've been a part of. I've never been a part of a commercialistic fancy church that has all the cool stuff. Like when we have a baptism, nobody has t-shirts. When we get together, I was talking to somebody yesterday about with local guy come in to talk about some sound equipment at the church that we need to think through. And he was like, well, what are you trying to do? And I was like, well, not much. And he was like, cool, I can get behind that. I'm with that, And I don't know that I would be terribly good at it. I would need people that were good at it to function in those spaces. So for me, a lot of what I'm looking at is if something's not working, it's because the people who should be there aren't. Like if you offer a Bible study and none of your people who love the Bible show up, probably is a bad time to have a Bible study. And you need to rethink it.
See, okay, yeah. So this is where I struggle a little bit. And I think it's kind of this mindset of like, what's more important, the means or the ends. Maybe some of it's around that conversation where, like, when you say that, I would feel like it would be to do the Bible study is the call. The ends is not in my control.
Sure, but
And I'm not going to stop it just because.
when I say that, the people who are more likely to be there, like as a pastor, okay, if I do a Bible study, there are people who I think are going to be there and who I think are not going to be there, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of normal ebb and flow, right? If I have a Bible, so we have a Bible study right now at 7:00 on Tuesday mornings, right? If
Where? At the church?
At the church, just through the summer, we're looking at what we're going to do when the fall comes and people have to go back to school and all that kind of stuff. But we're walking through the book of Genesis, just chapter by chapter. If no one shows up, or if I got one person, then I either need to retool and go, hey, this is just going to be a one-on-one, or we picked a bad time and we need to rethink the time that we're doing it. So it didn't work because it didn't really meet anybody's needs. It didn't really engage anybody to the point where like you could help them down the road. So we did small groups for a while, and we got to a season where some folks had left and they were super into small groups, and we just didn't have anybody that was really prepared to show up. Well, you can either fight for the thing because it's a good thing. And that's where I think the means come. Well, it's a good means.
Yeah.
But is it the right means for the right moment in the right place at the right time? There are 100 ways that you can do Bible study. There are 100 ways that you can do small group. There's 100 ways that you can do so we ended up transitioning away from small group to my wife and I host a once a month fellowship at our house. We're like, I cook dinner for everybody and people come over and hang out.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of goes back to like, if somebody came up to you and was like, why don't we do more small groups? You'd be like, I would love for you to start a small group.
That's correct. You as pastor,
not like we just don't do small groups anymore because it doesn't work.
And I would tell you that early in my ministry, if you came up to me and said, let's do small groups, I would spend an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out how to do small groups.
I feel like you should do them.
Now,
yeah.
If you came up and said, let's do small groups, I would say, great, Landon. You figure that out and come to me and tell me how you want to do it.
Yeah. And I'll help you.
And I will be behind you, and I will resource you, and I will give you everything you need.
And that'll chap somebody. Because they came to you with, hey, investment banker, I need you to start my small group for me.
Well, I think one of the things does is when people go, I think we need, what they mean is, I think you should do.
I wish this was happening.
I wish this was happening. I don't actually want to do any of the work to do it.
I would like to be served by this.
That's correct. Yeah. So we have a church member that recently came up and said, we need to do more outreach. And I said, figure it out. And they came back to me with, I got 3 options. And I go, okay, let's talk through these 3 options. I like this one, but let's do this one this way. And we're kind of getting down the road on setting some of that stuff up.
It's awesome.
Like that works.
Yeah.
When you're a pastor, especially at a small church, you have 15 hats, and a lot of times everything runs through your desk, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
And you can't do everything. We're finite humans.
Ministry brokers. You're not ministry brokers.
We're not.
That is totally how you're treated. I was trying to figure out the analogy.
Yeah, I don't have endless resources and endless time, and I've got a wife and 4 children that need me and all of those kind of things. You know, I got a 17-year-old that's going to be a senior in high school, and we're taking college visits, and he needs me to show up at wrestling tournaments, and he needs me to be there to talk about what he's going to eat this week or not eat this week because he wants to get his weight under control so that he can be successful. And
you want to do that.
And I want to do that. Like I'm a dad. I want to spend my life. I don't know. I think several years ago, I was really busy with something that was going on with the kids, and I was having to give something up that I wanted to do to be really busy with my kids. And I had a conversation with my friend David, and I just said, I think that if at the end of my life I say, I burned all my days away and my kids are great, I lived a good life.
You mean burned your days away?
Like I spent all my time, all my days. I burned my life away. You know, like
I talk about it all the time. It was like I'd rather be when people are talking about how hard kids are, and they are. I'm like, I'd rather be tired doing this.
sure.
I remember being tired over really stupid stuff.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
also just think like, you know, we went on a mission trip a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of look up, and Paxton Vroman, who's one of our deacons, is like up on an upper level up in Salisbury, Pleasant Woods Baptist Church in
Yeah.
Salisbury. They lost their sanctuary to termites. And so we've been helping them put it back together as an association. And I look up, and so I got my 17-year-old up there. I got my 14-year-old up there with Paxton, and they're building things with him. And for all their young foolishness, my 17-year-old and my 14-year-old are way better than I was at 17 and 14. And I think that makes me successful. Like my 17-year-old and I joke all the time, like that kid's a way better wrestler than I ever was. And his grades are way better than mine ever were. And he's got a head on his shoulders, and he already knows what he wants to do with his life. And like at 17, I had no idea what I wanted to do with life. I was still just bumming around working at McDonald's, and you know.
Yeah, I could go for some McDonald's right now.
That's because they put crack cocaine in it.
Do they really?
I think they have to.
I think sugar is crack cocaine.
No, I'm just telling you, like the meat is not actually good meat.
No.
And yet we all are like,
we all know that.
McDonald's cheeseburger.
Yeah, we all know that.
We do. But I'm just saying, like, why do you go back for it? Like, they have to put something in it. I don't know. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Like, we just all think about McDonald's from when we were kids.
I think it's just so easy. It's just so easy, you know?
But
and it's $3.
Yeah. So like at 17, he already knows he wants to go into marketing. He already knows, you know, he runs a business at 17 years old. I wasn't even close to that at 17. And, you know, so I look at, and I would say that like even pastorally, I look at success as a leader as how are the people that I'm supposed to be leading doing? When I feel successful, it's because I look around and I see people doing ministry well.
Made disciples.
We made disciples, and they're doing the right things. When I feel successful as a husband, it's because my wife is flourishing. When I feel successful as a parent, it's because my kids, it doesn't mean that they're always successful, they're always winning, or they're always doing this, or they're always doing that. But they have grown into, like, they're starting to get towards that adulthood. And I don't feel like I'm going to have them in my house the rest of my life. I mean, you know, barring the fact that like nobody can buy a home. I mean,
yeah,
and it's not just because they didn't buy Starbucks.
It's not because they didn't buy an Apple stock in 1980.
It's because
I heard somebody talk about like it's Christian progress isn't always up and to the right. It looks more like that, like little swirl.
It's slow. You know, I always say like one sermon won't change you, but 1,000 will.
Yeah.
One time reading your Bible won't change you, 1,000 will. I think that's why the physical examples are in God's word. Like training your body is of some benefit.
Yeah.
But there's a really good tie there, right? If you go to the gym one time, are you actually improving yourself?
Moderately, but yeah, if you never go back.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Like if you go hit the driving range one time, are you getting better?
Yeah.
Not really. You know,
although I've gotten really good at golf over the last year. We need to go play.
I mean,
I know you play a lot.
That's be great. David decided he wanted to pick up golf, so we've been playing a little bit.
Let's go.
Yeah. You know, he's decided he wants to play, and
does Tolton have a team?
Is
that where he's at?
They do. He will be.
Okay.
I mean, he won't start. He's not very good yet, but he's got a few years.
Just take some time.
Yeah, but like he's just picked it up. And he's serious about it. And he's thoughtful about it. And if you tell him he's doing something wrong, he can try to fix it and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
No, I when I was in seminary, I worked at a golf course.
Okay. Yeah.
So
at the Southern
Baptist Theological Seminary.
Nice.
And as Al Mohler would say, every word of that is important.
Yeah. Well, cool. This has been good to talk to you. I know we gotta get going soon. Anything else that you wanted to talk about in your life?
I mean, I would plug a couple of things.
Yeah.
You know, Grace and Truth School, I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
When
First year done, right?
first year's done,
Did they do anything in the summer?
they haven't done anything in the summer, but I think they've got some students for this year, so I think they're good to go to start. Plug them because just love Miss Brenna O'Neill and all the things that she does, and love the way that she loves the Lord and that. Our church is going to start Wednesday nights back up at the end of August. We'll have a meal and Bible studies all over the place. In a few weeks, we'll have a school supply giveaway that we do every year.
Yep. Don't you guys like neuter and spay some cats too?
We do not. That is not us.
Don't they do it at your building though?
I don't think so.
I 100% got our cats spayed or neutered at your church in high school.
That might have been in high school.
Might have been your parking lot. Yeah.
I bet Doc Taylor did that.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. I was like, I visibly remember bringing my cats to
I don't
a
think
church
that
to
one
get
is.
spayed or
I don't think that one has sustained itself over the years. I don't think that's a ministry of First Baptist Church. I wouldn't know what to do with that. That'd be one of those things where somebody would like say something to me and I go, I don't have a category for what you just said.
First Baptist Church is right across from Home Oil in town here on the square. What's like a defining differential of Baptist versus all these? There's like 20 churches in Fayette. So give me like a prime doctrinal differentiator on Baptists. You can't dance, right?
No, that's not it.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
I mean, in town, I would say that the primary differentiator of Baptists is that we baptize by immersion. Now, there are a couple other churches and traditions that do that as well. But historically, that's where Baptists came from, and then kind of everybody else came from Baptists.
Because who doesn't do that would be Catholics.
Or Presbyterians, or the United Methodists, or the Lutherans.
Okay, so they don't do immersion.
That's correct.
Interesting.
But like the Christian church, the Assemblies of God church, most of your non-denominational churches historically root themselves in Baptist life. So we look very similar. We think very similar in a lot of ways historically. I would say First Baptist particular is that the thing that marks us, I think, is distinct is, and I don't say this in any manner of like nobody else is doing this, but like we have a very intentional, everything we do must be regulated by God's word. So our worship services are going to be unique in that like we pray a lot. We read the Bible a lot. We have the Lord's Supper every Sunday. We would not have what you would call a sermonette. It's not short.
You said you would not have what's called a sermonette.
That's correct.
Meaning you preach a sermon.
I preach a long sermon.
Yeah. Well, what's a sermonette to you?
15 minutes.
Yeah. Who's preaching 15-minute sermons?
Many people.
Really?
Yes.
That's not a sermon.
I had a buddy that visited a church recently.
15 minutes.
So I had a buddy that visited a church recently, not here. It was down in Columbia. And they're between pastors.
How do you say anything in 15 minutes?
And my buddy goes, he got done. And I was like, that's it? Like, you got anything else to say on that? I'm so confused.
Wow. What about 30 minutes?
I could do 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm 35 to 45.
Okay, that's pretty good. When you say long sermon, I'm thinking 45 and up.
Yeah. I mean,
which is obnoxious for the record for any pastors listening to this. I mean, we're fine. I'll hang around. I'm not trying to go to a football game. Okay. I'm just saying, like, I think 45 and up, unless you were like deep into a chalkboard of teaching, you might have told too many stand-up comedy jokes in your first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 45 and up is pretty rare. And typically it's, I have so much to say in this text, but not enough to say in 2 times.
Yeah.
So I need an extra 5 minutes or so to just kind of
I at least respect that though. Like I can stay attentive to a 45-minute focus thing. It's when there's like probably 15
Yeah.
to 20 minutes of stand-up routine or announcements.
I mean, you're not gonna get that with me.
No.
I'm not fun.
Although, but I need to not be such a like loser because sometimes like I'm so sensitive to like the stand-up routine. Like I'm like, oh, you're just trying to warm me up and tell me a story that'll convict my heart. And then I just need to chill out for a second and be like, listen, the pastor's just getting into a topic. Just let him get into it.
I mean, what I would tell you is this is what I tell myself when we're like on vacation or something like that.
Yeah.
Because not everybody preaches the way I do
Yeah, I know.
or in the style that I do, et cetera, et cetera. And you can sit in a pew as somebody that knows what they're doing and go, I would have done it this way.
Right. How do you get your brain to not do that?
Were they trying to be faithful to the text? And did they talk a lot about Jesus?
Yeah.
I think if those things are true, I go, great, you did your job.
Yeah. See, but you're doing that good thing where you wait till after and then you look at it and go, okay, that's fine. It's me when you start with some Mario Kart sermon analogy in the first 3 minutes that I'm like, I'm going to scream.
I will say this does go back to the Billy Graham thing. I don't think pastors should be trying to entertain people. I think we use stories too much.
I'm not saying don't tell stories.
I think illustrations are super, super helpful.
But when you launch into a stand-up routine that does not apply, or you have to take a massive leap to get to your text or context.
I think that too often we have taken too many cues from secular rhetoric teaching. Like, how do you have good rhetoric? How do you give a good oral presentation and all those kind of things?
How do you attract?
And I think most of the time, preaching that is really good is enthralling because it's so much about the word.
Yeah.
Like you're driven into, and then you're driven, my tradition of preaching is what's called Reformed experiential preaching. So what I want is to preach the Bible in such a way that it affects the way you live your life. That's my goal. So
it's a hot take. Cody, are you in there? Put your headphones on. You got any wild theological questions for James? Because I know you've got some cooking in there.
Dude, there's so much you guys have. Oh.
And you're muted.
Can you guys hear me?
There you are.
Dude, there's so many things you guys have talked about.
All right, just hit us with one. We got to be quick here.
Oh, man, just one. All right, so really early on in the conversation, you were talking about being content as a Christian.
Like simple life, right?
Yeah. Like, so I'm of the opinion that it's okay to strive. Like, I don't think materialism is completely a bad thing. Like, for example, if I see somebody with a Lamborghini and I go, man, I want to work hard and get a Lamborghini too. Like, I don't think that's inherently wrong. And I see that a lot in like Christian groups is like, basically like kind of people saying that, no, it's bad to want to have like things and work hard to get cool things. And I don't think that's the case. Even biblically, I feel like there is scripture that, you know, blesses the person that works hard. So what would be your take on like materialism, I guess? Like, is it wrong for me to want to be a millionaire, I guess, or something like that from a Christian point of view? I'm not saying
if the Babylon Bee really did convert Elon Musk, is it wrong that he has trillions of dollars?
Yeah. I mean, I think a couple of things that I would say just real briefly. Like one, I would say that the Bible tells us that we should not be driven by our appetites. So like in Philippians chapter 3, when Paul is talking about those who have fallen away, he says their God is their bellies. And the principle there is that
I'm so hungry right now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
He's saying that like their God is their appetite. So they want to consume. So like if I want to have $1 million, that's all well and good. But if I'm doing it for the purpose of just consumption, I think there's some heart problem there. I shouldn't want that. My want should be, I want $1 million because I can affect the world with $1 million in such a way that it is good. And this is where like I go back to, I really love, like I plugged it earlier, but like the book, The Search for God in Guinness, I think what you see is that the Guinness family makes like tons of money. Like they are not poor. and they were not poor at the time. They were wildly wealthy. But as they were wildly wealthy, they were also engaging others with their wealth and making other lives better. So the sheer materialism of things can be really bad. The having of nice things is not sinful in and of itself.
Yeah. So like, I'm trying to think of a good way to word this.
No, let's ask so what? How's the Lamborghini go for that?
Yeah. Like, yeah, if I want, like,
I mean, okay.
especially if it inspires the next kid to work hard.
Sure. Like, I don't
That's
know.
a long leap, though. You know,
Well, hold on. So-
he's on
so-
a 60
That is
minutes
how
of,
people,
like, coding.
that is how you should think
Why
about things,
did you
though.
get this Lamborghini? And he's like, I wanted to inspire little Timmy.
Well, no,
next door.
that's not the main. Like, I want it because it looks cool. Is that bad?
There it
It's- like, is that
I don't
bad?
think it's look, I have a very nice watch at home that I bought myself, and I mean it's not ridiculous or anything like that, but it's very nice, and I bought it because I liked it. Like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with buying something because you like it. Did you sin to get it, and would you sin if you couldn't have it?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leading. Is like, because I wouldn't be unhappy if I never got a Lamborghini,
Sure.
right, or $1 million, whatever.
Like,
But I think it's important that, like, I think if I'm trying my hardest and working, like, giving my best effort at whatever I'm giving, I'm probably going to reap the benefits of that.
sure.
And I don't think it's necessarily, I don't know. That's like, it's a,
Sure. And there's a couple of philosophies to that, right? So like there's the Sam Walton philosophy that he drove the same old beat up pickup truck for the rest of his life and was a multi-bajillionaire. You know, like just like the guy had more money than you could even imagine, and he drove the same old like beat up square body. But you know, the question is really going to come down to, would you violate God's law in order to get the things that you want? Right? So like, would you take advantage of people? Would you do things that were criminal? Would you do things that were unethical? All of those kind of things. Would you oppress the worker in his wages? All of those sort of things that are throughout the Bible about good business practices and those kind of things, just so that you can be the guy that has the Lamborghini. Or would you
still think like want and desire though is reflective of some sort of heart condition?
It can
right?
be, but like, I mean, like, let's just be honest. Like,
Why do you have that truck out
Why do you
there?
have that truck, or why do you have your shoes? Or
Right.
I mean, let's just be honest.
Right.
Like the brand new pickup truck that you drive, like,
Yeah.
it's not cheaper than
No.
most vehicles.
Cheaper than a Lamborghini.
It might be
you
cheaper
know.
than a Lamborghini, but a very nice 2026, Chevy Silverado is a $60,000 vehicle. Like, we're not
It's like
talking
80 now, but yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm not living
It's
in that.
ridiculous.
I'm not living in that world.
It's ridiculous.
What if
you
I-
live in a different tax bracket.
I do, but I'm also not likely to buy the thing right off the lot because like it loses 25% of its value, and I'm cheap. I'm looking for the thing that has like 200,000 miles that I can just drive how I want to drive it and not worry about it.
Yeah.
But
But like, yeah, you could go at me and go like, why do I desire this much comfort in this shoe?
sure, you could, but at the end of the day, like
And I don't need that. It's kind of like you go to like, do we really need churches and
sure,
or chairs
but
and churches?
I think that runs down this really weird David Platt path
Yep.
where like
Yep.
nothing is like, and this is like the whole
There's a term
conversation
for
of like
that,
simple.
right?
It's radical.
No. There's a term for like
Asceticism is what it is.
Yeah.
Like the killing of all desirable goods. Like that's
didn't
what
Chan kind of go
that's
down
what
that
the
route too?
well, that's what the monks practice.
Yes,
in like
okay.
the 2nd and 3rd century was asceticism.
Yeah.
And the Bible actually warns against it, that asceticism is bad. And in 1 Timothy chapter 4, it talks about like warning against those who like would be passionate about that. So like I don't think the having of nice things or the wanting of nice things is necessarily a heart condition that says that like if I look at okay, I have a 1969 C10, okay, an old pickup truck. It's good. It's fine. It's getting work done right now because it lit on fire and
the yellow one, right?
Yeah,
I saw
yeah,
that
yeah,
catch
yeah.
on fire, and I didn't stop by.
That was not kind.
I know.
Yes,
I felt like
It's all right.
Anyway.
So it's getting work done right now. I could look at one of those. It's $50,000, shiny new paint job, totally retro modded, gorgeous, right? And I could, if I had $50,000 that was spendable money,
Mhm.
I'd go buy one. And I don't think it would be sinful. I don't think it's sinful for me to look at it and go, I think that's really cool. I think the way God has made man to make things, and I think
Yeah.
the thing that's there is really cool. Like I was we were on a trip and we were in an art gallery, and I'm looking at some of these paintings, and there's no way I can afford them. Like starting auction price, $25,000, right? You know, I'm not in that bracket, right? But I can look at it and
Also,
go,
I hate that like art can just be like, I'm $1 million, and everybody with wine is like, you are.
yeah. But I love art, and I love the way man makes things. And so, like, I look at like a 1968 C10 and just go, man, that is just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But like, I used to own, when my father-in-law died, he left a Corvette.
It's like a race car, right?
It was an Indy pace car Corvette,
Yeah.
right? I hated that thing.
What?
Oh, it's hideous.
That's good to know.
It drove
I
terribly.
assumed you loved that.
No, that's why I sold it. And I sold it and I bought the pickup truck. Like my inheritance from my father-in-law was the C10.
Yeah.
Because we sold the Corvette and we bought the pickup truck. Like I like the pickup truck better. Like I would never buy a Lamborghini. I'm not interested. And I live in Fayette and you can't drive that thing here.
Somebody does.
That's insane.
There is a Lamborghini in town.
Part of the reason I sold the Corvette was like you had to pick and choose which roads you drove down.
Yeah, I did see you come out of the church parking lot with that Corvette, and I was
not
like,
fun. It was better if you took it out the back way and took it down towards Davis. Like their sit so low. Like it's super bad.
All right. Anyway, Cody, any other wild ones? Because I know James, you gotta go.
Yeah, I don't know about wild. I mean, we could go down the salvation rabbit trail, but you honestly gave the
You
answer.
did a good job in that one.
Yeah, you gave the most. Because we've had a few other people on, and then Landon's been around James, I don't know if you've been around me whenever I go down the salvation rabbit hole, but it's something I talk about a lot, and it's something I'm concerned about. And I think you gave probably the answer I think is the best answer, and it's not, the question isn't that you're saved, more so were you ever saved? And I feel like that's like what every single denomination, they all say the same exact thing about salvation, just slightly differently. And I feel like that comment of like, well, were you ever saved to begin with, kind of fixes the different way everybody says it, if that makes sense. So sure. I don't know if I have anything else crazy. They're super like interesting without us going down another hour rabbit hole. So.
No, we could definitely do more of this, and maybe we should, because I think it's probably helpful if I'm asking these questions. There's probably a lot of people asking these questions, and yeah, definitely this like idea of like a wedding day type salvation.
I got one.
Okay. All right.
Is MMA inherently bad if you're Christian?
Nope.
And why?
Because I like combat sports.
Yes. Me and Josiah Key have this
I'm
civil debate sometimes.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna be like all cards on the table. I'm a combat sport guy. I am raising wrestlers in my house. Like, you know, it just is what it is. Like
Doesn't seem very peaceful.
It's not.
What would you say to somebody that said it's bad stewardship of your body? Because I don't agree with that. But.
Well, I mean, I think the stewardship of your body is different depending on how you're having that conversation, right?
I feel like eating 1 carrot over 2 weeks is probably not a good.
Well, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that. Like, so here's the thing. Like, people. Okay, so you got a guy who like fights MMA and he's very successful. Like, let's just say like John Jones. Right? Super successful. He's made a lot of money. Or Conor McGregor, right? Tons and tons of money. Is provided for his family very, very well. And people go, well, look what he did to his body. I mean, have you looked at like a concrete guy in his 60s?
Yeah, I mean, none of this is relative to the profession.
Like the question comes down. I mean, like people that don't like combat sports generally don't like combat sports because they're uncomfortable with the level of violence that is there. But it's controlled violence, it's trained violence, it's willful violence, and it's not deadly violence, not purposefully. Like if somebody dies in an MMA fight,
which is rare, very rare,
it's incredibly rare. Like I would even say I watch a lot of combat sports because like my kids wrestle. Injuries are incredibly rare. Like really getting hurt doesn't happen very often because they're really controlled environments.
Yeah.
People just don't like blood.
But neither of you are arguing that MMA is a biblical thing.
No, I was curious because I've heard
God's a wrestler.
I've heard Christians say that it may inherently be bad stewardship of your body, which, by the way, like me and Josiah in particular, he's never said that in stone. He's just like, I wonder if that's if that's honoring
Now
God.
I will say, like, when you go down some of those paths,
Who did he wrestle again?
Jacob.
That's
Yeah.
Me right now.
The thing that I will say is that there are at different eras of your life, different things can be sinful and not sinful. So like right now, if Athan decided he wanted to go, like my 17-year-old, he's single, he doesn't have any responsibilities. If he wanted to go skydiving, I might go. I wouldn't do that, but I don't think it's inherently sinful. I might say it's more sinful for me because I have a wife and children that I'm responsible to, and to just do stupid stuff because I think it's fun when I might put myself in danger. I don't think it's about the stewardship over my body, because, like, frankly, you can say it's bad stewardship over somebody's body, but like, I'm gonna put the MMA guy over the cheeseburger guy any day of the week. Like the MMA guy is fit. His blood pressure is going to be under control. He's not obese. He's like his shoulder may hurt.
Yeah. Well, all this is a good commercial for life insurance too.
Yeah.
You can feel better about skydiving in your 50s because you have life insurance. You're not in your 50s yet. Sorry.
I'm not in my 50s yet. I'm not that old.
You're nearing your mid 40s.
Nearing.
James, thanks for coming on. It was good.